Hello everyone and welcome to another No Rest for the Wicked video. My name's Brian if you happen to be new to my channel, but we've got to get you guys caught up on all the latest development updates. No Rest for the Wicked is almost ready with its next major update, and I'll be sure to be breaking down the patch notes and so much more once we have those full details. But let's not waste any time because we've got a ton of stuff to get into. We've got art assets, enemies, and even some really kick-ass gameplay footages of the monk, as well as wand gameplay too. So just note, for those of you who want to get into the weeds, we're getting into the weeds in this video. For those of you who are waiting for a release date, I'll give you guys some updates right here at the start of the video as well. Let's kick it off with Thomas over on Twitter talking about just went over the list of improvements from our live build to our next update, and hot damn, folks, brace yourselves. It's going to be a good time to be an ARPG fan. You got a PoE 2, which will push their style forward, and Wicked moves closer and closer to becoming the ARPG that I always dreamed of. I think that's a really great way to kick this video off. Let's jump into it. This is going to give us some, some additional information about potential release dates, and for the console players out there, note, hopefully we'll be talking to you guys more directly here in 2025, but this next update will not feature console support at this time. Raven asks, I'm sure you're tired of seeing this, but I will always for science. Is there a possibility for a trailer at the Game Awards? And originally that was something that they had planned to do, maybe even shadow drop it, but things have changed. I've kind of talked the reasons why in previous videos. Thomas says, sadly, no, the original plan was to do just that, but we have an announcement pretty soon that explains everything. There's also going to be big things happening for Moon, and for now we can't say anything else yet. And so we've talked a little bit about that. I'll leave it there. If you guys are curious, you can always go check out those previous videos. We cover it pretty directly. I don't like to try to bury the lead later in the videos. Anyway, Thomas goes on. He says he does apologize for keeping folks waiting. I know that there's just everybody just wants to play the new content. I do too. The good thing is at least we both get to polish the game a little bit more and cram a little bit more stuff into this very big update. Going on to reply to a question about selling point for Wicked seems to be the multiplayer. Thomas says, I don't think Wicked is in direct competition with Diablo or Path of Exile. I was like, Prison of Elders? No, that's Destiny. We're just going for something very different. All these games are ARPGs, but for some people, ARPG now means plays exactly like Diablo, which I don't really agree with. Going on, Gabriel asks, just hoping that Wicked is healthy enough for the player base after the update to maintain a good population. I've seen too many multiplayer games fall off a cliff in terms of player count recently. And Thomas goes on to reiterate what he's talked about with us multiple times in terms of monetization. He's like, I don't think we actually need a huge concurrent player base all the time. We're not selling microtransactions to you. He rather periodically ship something that is mind-blowing, that will spike our sales, and then do all kinds of shenanigans to constantly keep players playing, rather than trying just to monetize players, which I think is a real sign of relief, because I think if you focus in on the players and the gameplay first and foremost, the other thing handles itself, as opposed to like if you focus how do we monetize these players, well, you end up having bad gameplay and thus you actually fail both tasks. Anyway, the other thing I thought was interesting and wanted to kind of highlight this for you guys, we did have machine learning enemies already. I wanted to use those for bounties. We just couldn't finish that stuff, but I want to use the bounties to feel like you're actually fighting against another player, i.e. the AI is actually trained on their own devs. And I think that's really, really cool and fascinating and interesting. That's one of the things where I know around the concept of AI and the conversations that happen online, there are some real awesome benefits that could actually impact the game. And I think it always has to be used with a level of discretion, to say the least, because it can easily slide into, theft, and and that's a big topic for another day. But the fact is, like AI training, this is something we've seen in games like Forza that I'm just like, why don't we see more games do this? Let me train my Drivatar, my avatar, and then let it, out in the wild. And so you can end up having some interesting and very fresh AI, mindsets. But you guys can let me know how you think about that. I'm going to put the odds that the update would happen in December at about 50%. But based off of what they have talked about, obviously we're waiting for the Wicked Inside, which is not coinciding with the Game Awards, which really does push a lot of this closer to Christmas. And I don't know if like you guys, but I'll be taking time off work. I'm sure a lot of people want to go spend time with their family. And then I think what we most likely will be seeing is the update happening in January 2025, which will be a fun month to kind of kick things off into the new year with a whole new level of excitement. And so just kind of keep it locked here. As soon as we have an official announcement, I'll be sure to cover it for you guys as well. Morgath writes, speaking of bounties, can we still pick them up and some of them in the same area? I don't want to go back to Sacrament to pick up a bounty that I could have already been doing in the same area that I'm already in. And he says, and Thomas confirms, this is actually in the next update. So it sounds like we're going to have some updates to the bounty system as well. Another change that they've made, just for those of you out there stocking up those XP potions, they are changing the XP potions to increase your XP gain temporarily instead of just giving you a flat amount of XP. So that's going to be interesting to see how that feels. We do know that they're bringing XP back to the Crucible, which I am thrilled by, and that I think will make the XP potions also very valuable, because when you're talking about your, putting a time limit on it, jumping in, getting tons of experience sounds like a lot of fun. All right, let's jump into more of the details up with the upcoming weapon changes. Folks, I have had some time to work on the gauntlets and wands now. With some luck, we might still see these go online with the next update. I'm really hoping that that actually is the case, but that also, when he's saying that, tells me that January is most likely the time frame that they're looking at, assuming many things, but we'll see. He goes on to say, I'm trying some crazier stuff with the gauntlets so that we have some runes that won't cost any focus, so that players will have more variety in their movesets. So you'll have your roundhouse kicks, uppercuts, and etc. featured there. One of the gauntlets rune attacks is a drop kick, etc. All good fun. For wands, I'd love to hear what you folks have in mind. We still need to do a bit of a rework on staves. Also, that very elemental school has a unique playstyle. Right now, I'm basically trying to make the wands the quicker, more dexterous versions of staves with some unique moves as well. Are there any spells you folks particularly have enjoyed in these games? And guys, the gameplay footage of this stuff is freaking phenomenal. Anyway, sneak peek, you can kind of see here various different weapons. He's highlighting both the gauntlets and the wands, and if we zoom in and enhance, we can see their various different names and other little value properties. The way that and the love that they are putting into the weapons system is absolutely surreal. And so here, yeah, you guys can see the monk with the with the Hadouken basically going on, and people asked him, are they going to see like a Kamikaze? I'm butchering it, and I know. But I do think that they did say that they're going to be doing that. Let's jump into some wand footage as well. You can see here from the agility aspect that he's talking about and how it plays differently from the staves. And I think that is a really cool distinction to see these two different type of gameplays. Obviously, big rework coming to the magic system. At some point in the future, there will be a Combat 2.0 update, a Crucible 2.0 update. So many updates to be have. Anyway, he also says that staves, when talking about this versus the wands, are going to have some of the heavier magics, and obviously wands are going to be more agile and quick. Now, when asked, Cassio writes, why do enemies drop Crucible orbs? Is it because of the recycling the Crucible boon lightings? I guess that's a bug, technically, not a bug, since it is just proof of concept, I guess. And if we go again back to that fist footage, you can see here killing the enemies does drop orbs. Thomas confirms that they added it as a test because it's actually quite satisfying to collect XP this way. So that might be something that we see change in the open world. It becomes those orbs and they, I guess, fly to you. I like it. I like how that animation looks in the Crucible, and to see it kind of play out in the overall game, I think in a way acts as a unification to how these different things work. So it isn't rules for thee and not for me, where Crucible only has these orbs, everything kind of functions, and depending on the content you're running, the orb means something different. Anyway, people were asked, confirming the Kamahaya saying that we will add something like that too. It's a silly bug regarding targeting that you can see here in that fist footage as well. And so they're still working on that before it ships. Then if anybody wants to see some really cool art assets in terms of the monk body, folks, we have naked body monks, and they're highlighting that look and feel. Also, in terms of gameplay footage, they're highlighting this, and they're calling it the Lumberjack here, and it says, "Thou shalt not cut down my trees." You can see here this beautiful animation in their test environment, and I'm all in on what that means. Regarding staves and wands, though, we got more updates. Frost asks, have you guys thought about giving staves and wands and other ranged weapons a basic attack like melee weapons to build focus? And it's a bit late in the discussion, so I probably missed the question about this. And Thomas says yes, but it's still testing this. Ranged is always going to be a big problem in these kind of games, since it's easy to cheese enemies with ranged if they don't have a ranged attack themselves that they can counter with. And in Wicked, not every enemy does. Going on to say that for these wands, they're not offhand weapons. He's actually set them up as main hand weapons. So it's going to be neat to see whether they do include those additional just a base or ranged attack that wands can use, or we will see. I honestly am all in. I'm excited for it. Guys, if you enjoy No Rest for the Wicked content, if you enjoy ARPG content, if you enjoy culture war discussions and breakdowns from my Catholic perspective, let's not lie about that, I would love to have you guys, I'd love to earn your sub, and if I do, let me know in the comments. We got a bunch of new subscribers here. Welcome in. Glad that you guys here, and hopefully we can all have some good fun times talking about these games. Lots of upcoming coverage here on the channel for PoE 2, as well as we're just waiting for more Light No Fire news. I'm very excited about that game. But anyway, let's get back into it. Thomas highlights multiple different art assets from gear. You can see here from targeting dummies to various different, what I would almost call a musketeer style with the bow and the gear itself, highlighting various different carpets that you can kind of put down to highlight what are in different chests. That's going to be very helpful. But yeah, you can see here a lot of beautiful art assets. Then he goes, where's my hose at? And he gives some updates on farming with watering cans and hose as various different weapons. And then bear with me here as he highlights various different new enemies. We've seen the bear as a part of a trailer. Yes, bears will be in this update. And you can see here also who wants to dual wield various different clubs, highlighting some epic bosses that we look to be taking down. Now, it gets even better from here, guys. He also then goes on to ask about wanting to introduce runes for offhands as well. So let's talk shields and what kind of skills that people want to see. And people talk about shield bash, thorn damage, shield charge, and Thomas adds in shield throw. And he also has a boss, he says, that has a living shield that he throws down, and in the second phase it also becomes an enemy by itself. And what's interesting is then he was asked, hey, can you show some pics? And he chooses to highlight an art asset of that, stating that all of this is lootable, and so you can actually look like this boss too. Well done. Very excited for it. Now we got, as one final thing for our questions that was asked, Thomas Ashless asks, and apologies for the ping, but I got multiple questions. Number one, will there be a morale honor system mechanic where it changes some of the dialogue or outcomes of some of the quests and storyline? And Thomas confirms that is not actually going to happen. That is not in the game. Number two, any Halo glowing eye, burnt body, floating glowing weapon, cape, or aura effects as statuses, like a corruption, Lord of the Hollows, frenzied flame awaken, cherub status that unlocks some faction system, roads, storylines, endings, even if cosmetic or just some minor dialogue changes would be nice. And Thomas says this is not planned at the moment. Number three, more monk outfits if possible for Metsusu, Raging Dragon, or Demon, excuse me. Maybe a martial arts parry too. Thomas says yes, that is in fact happening. And then finally he does apologize for pinging, and Thomas says it's okay. That's one of the things that, while I know there's some frustration around this game and its development and the communication, the devs are communicating. It's just, I know a lot of people are waiting for that more official news, and that's always going to be a hard line to walk. If we're honest with it, if they were rushing the stuff out and it wasn't ready and it wasn't fun, we'd be frustrated about that. And I think more so. So you're kind of screwed either way. You might as well focus in on making really great quality updates that a lot of people can rally around and get excited about. And that's, I think, exactly what is happening. Now, I want to wrap up today's video, and this is going to be more of a personal message of hope. because I'm not doing okay right now. And we've been praying for this little boy. His name's Francisco, and he's been battling this rare brain cancer. And the sad news is, unfortunately, he has passed away after a long battle. He stated last week that he was ready, and obviously, like, going into the holiday season, that's going to be rough. And so I would ask, whether you're religious or not, thoughts and prayers for Francisco, and also go for those that you love in your life. None of us are guaranteed anything. None of us are guaranteed another moment. This could always be my last video, and that is just this reality of the world that we live in. And I just want to encourage you guys, never miss an opportunity to tell those that you love them. And that's what I would challenge you guys to do, especially when I want to celebrate Francisco, but I'm telling you right now, I'm very hurt by this news, even though we've known this has been coming. And I've been praying for Francisco as a part of my rosary and asking Blessed Carlos to pray for him as well. And ultimately, obviously he has gone to be with, Jesus, and that is, it's both beautiful and tragic, and that is a part of what it means to be alive in this regards. And so I just ask that you guys, especially if you're religious, please pray for Francisco's family. That would be really wonderful. It'd be a great gift to me. And then if you're not, again, make sure you go and tell those that you love them. Don't leave those things, and don't leave any kind of hurts, like don't let those things rob you of time with people. I would recommend and always encourage forgiveness, especially if some of those people have wronged you. But don't let that fester, and don't let that just go, for years. I've met a lot of people who have, and eventually they have, in some cases reconciled, and that's always a really beautiful thing. Anyway, thank you guys so much for letting me talk to you about this personal issue. It sucks, and it wasn't my kid, but that we've been there praying along the lines, and it's just sad. So God bless each and every one of you. I love you very much, and thank you for the opportunity to get to talk to you guys today. Hopefully I will see you in the next video, but until then, take care.